We've all turned up the radio to hear Brother Jimmy Lakey, from coast to coast and shore to shore. Now raise your voice. Oh, let us all Jimmy Lakey get out of bed. Jimmy Lakey, raise your voice. Jimmy Lakey, hey, can't live without it with Jimmy Lakey. Jimmy Lakey.
I'm just listening to the choir. Let's just listen to the choir all day. Call it off. Let's just do the whole show. Nothing but choir music. The Jimmy Lakey Mass Choir, brought to you by Brother Leroy, live from St. Louis once again. Hotel Art once again. Fly back to Colorado shortly after the program today. But good morning, everybody across America, whether you're tuning in now on the YouTube or the Facebook or the Twitters or the X or the Rumbles, whatever platform you're tuning in. Glad to have you here. And of course, some of you listen throughout the day on our podcast channel called Lakey Unleashed. So wherever you're at, we'd love to have you. Glad to have you. And good morning, America. Good morning, Colorado. Good morning, New York. Good morning, Alabama. Good morning, Missouri. That's where I happen to be at. I got a story to tell you. I told you when I came to St. Louis, my son attends college in the area, played a little football game on Friday night for the spring game. So I made it in for that and spent some time with him this weekend. But I'm telling you, I had said that I was going to, when in St. Louis, go see Rush Limbaugh's final resting place, the cemetery where he lays. And I was going to do that. And then I forgot, totally forgot. My son and I went to a restaurant yesterday. We'd heard great things about. We waited in line to get in. It's all right. We weren't all that impressed, honestly, but it was good. It was a fun experience. And I said, anything else we want to do? Because we had to drive about 35 minutes or so back to where his campus, 45 minutes. And he said, no, I'm good. I said, I'm good. About the time we drove onto campus, I said, shoot, I should have gone to see Rush Limbaugh's final resting spot. I totally spaced it. So anyway, for that, I apologize that I did not bring that memory back to you. But next time, you'll be back here for again. So I'm sure I'll get there. But I totally spaced it. And I did not disappoint myself. I wanted to go and look and see exactly how far I was from it. That way I could really be disappointed, because I might have been like next door, but I don't know. Anyway, I totally spaced it. Was just happy to hang out with my kiddo, and I forgot I wanted to go see Rush's final resting place. All right, everybody watched the Masters over the weekend. Rory won the thing. I liked it. I was happy for Rory. I can't believe it's been that long. So his 11th try attempt to get the Grand Slam. It's been a long dry spell for Rory, but he was back yesterday and went down to a sudden death playoff, which was exciting as heck. And he managed to pull it out. So good for Rory. Rory McIlroy. Anybody who has a son or kid that's about my son's age, anytime you hear the phrase Rory, you want to sing the song Rory the Racing Car. If you know, you know. If you've been there, done that, you know what I'm talking about. But anybody else hear the name Rory and I just want to sing it, Rory the Racing Car, I just want to sing it, because if you have a child that's about my age and used to watch the Nickelodeon and the Nick Jr., then you know exactly the song that I'm referring to. And I'm sorry that I got that stuck in your head. Another song that I'll get stuck in your head today, He Lives in a Pineapple Under the Sea. You know that one as well. So all of us who grew up with or had kids growing up in that era, you know all the songs, and now you're going to be singing Rory the Racing Car all day long. All right, there are some important news items that we have to get to today. The president of El Salvador is coming to the White House today. Momentarily, he is expected to show up there. And of course, this is a very big deal, because the president of El Salvador is the one who has agreed to keep all those dastardly illegals that are caught there and caught in America and deported. And some of them, other countries say, we don't want those guys back. And El Salvador says, hey, we've got a very nice prison. If you pay us, we'll take care of them. And they're going to get taken care of in that big, nice, fancy prison in El Salvador. Now, this is the prison that there's a man who they say he was mistakenly deported by ICE, and he's supposed to judge. The Supreme Court has said, yeah, he should probably come back to the country. The United States Department of Justice says, well, he's not in our custody anymore. Oops, sorry. If El Salvador releases him, we will not block him in, and he can come straight to the country, and then he'll be picked up by ICE again and deported through a different route. But either way, he's leaving the country. And the media has mistakenly reported this as he's an American citizen. He is not an American citizen. He's an El Salvadorian citizen. This man was eligible to be deported, but years ago he got a judge to say, if you go back to El Salvador, you may be harmed, so you get to stay here. But he has warrants. He has warrants here. He has warrants there. He is not some poor old father from Massachusetts or wherever that has been mistakenly grabbed up on the streets and fake deported. He's not an American citizen, and he has committed crimes, and he can be deported. They just didn't like the way he was deported. And so America says, listen, we appreciate your judgment, Supreme Court. If you want to release the guy out to us, El Salvador, I'm sure that'll be a hot topic of discussion today. If you want to release him from the jail, send him back to us. We won't block his entry. We'll let him come back in, and we'll have some ICE agents waiting right there, and we'll take him back into custody, and we will arrest him, and we'll go through a different process, but the guy is not staying in the country. But I just want to point that out, that as they point out that this fellow is they pretend as if he's an American citizen that was working an honest job and earning an honest day's living. He was a member of criminal activity here. He had been charged with that, and he was going to be deported on that. And he had been known on the radar screen of American justice system for a long time, because when they tried to deport him before for illegal activities, he went to a judge and said, please don't kill me in El Salvador because I'm a criminal. And so the whole thing, that the way the media spins this thing, and maybe the media is losing its influence, because I really think you cannot scream. It's the old adage, I don't think they learned, the boy who cried wolf. You cannot have everything at 10.6 on the Richter scale and then expect everybody to pay attention to you. Everything, every week, the media creates a frenzy of a brand new crisis, all surrounding the chaos of Donald Trump. And eventually, I think people go, well, the last chaos worked out all right. So the sad thing is, if there's ever anything needing to report, if there's ever anything that they need to turn into something that's pretty epic in conversation, or something that needs to have emphasis on it, there's not going to be any will to have emphasis, because the media has overplayed its hand over and over and over again. So the president of El Salvador going to the White House today, and it will be interesting to see what kind of conversation they have. And if I were the country of El Salvador, I would prepare yourself for some prosperity, because as we hear it, Trump is always a deal maker. And I'm guessing Trump would like to have a good deal with El Salvador to reward them and award them and to pat them on the hind end and say thank you for helping us deal with our illegal immigration problem. Now, the president of El Salvador will be at the White House today, and I'm sure they'll hold a press conference, and he will be very happy to be there, and he'll want photos taken of him and snapshots. He's going to hope that all the good press he can get. There was something interesting that happened over the weekend, and it was that Gretchen Whitmer. Anybody know her name? If you're in Michigan, you know her name. If you follow politics nationally, you know her name. Gretchen Whitmer is the governor of Michigan. And she is one person that during the COVID crisis, you can go back and check the tapes. I made some prolific pronouncements during that time. Number one, I said that Dr. Fauci from day one cannot be trusted. I had friends that say, I like it. They would gather. I talked to one of my friends last week. I said, you would gather every day and watch the Fauci update. He thought Fauci was honorable. Now we know Fauci's a criminal. And that's why he had to be pardoned for crimes, a presidential pardon, because if you accept a presidential pardon, of course, the rule states that you are admitting that there was some wrongdoing there. But Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer was another one during the COVID season. You've got to be careful. She is evil. She was one of those people that I'm telling you, don't look her in the eye. I had a radio producer one time several years ago that I've had some weird ones, but I've had one that the boss man said, don't look her in the eye. I'll have her fired in 2 days, but don't look her in the eye. She's evil. And she was. And I never looked her in the eye. I was afraid to. Gretchen Whitmer is one of those people that I always said is not a decent human being. There's just something in her eyes, something, I call it the gift of discernment. I don't care. But there's something about Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer that gives me the heebie-jeebies. That's a scientific term, by the way, the heebie-jeebies. Again, maybe I misjudged. Maybe she's a wonderful lady. Well, she showed up. By the way, she is listed as a top-tier candidate for the 2028 Democrat presidential nomination. Remember, Gretchen Whitmer is the one this is how you knew at the time that they weren't really banking on Kamala Harris, that nobody wanted to be Kamala's vice president. Gretchen Whitmer was immediately named as she could be somebody, could be an all-female team. And Gretchen said, I'm not interested. I'm out of here. I'm not going to do it. Well, if you haven't seen the story, this is interesting. Gretchen Whitmer goes to the White House over the weekend, and she is meeting with President Trump. And she was seen temporarily shielding her face from the cameras in the Oval Office by holding up a folder in front of her. There's photos out there. Governor Whitmer expecting a private meeting was blind. I should have grabbed the photo of this. This is epic. She's literally holding a photo as if the paparazzi. She's standing next to a podium where they're going to be speaking, and she's shielding her face, hoping to not be recognized as she's there. She later lowered the folder as the president spoke to the press and encouraged Whitmer to comment as well. The Democratic governor who clashed with Trump during the first term regarding the COVID-19 lockdown policies met with the president to discuss recovery from an ice storm that impacted thousands of Michiganders, funding for the Selfridge Air National Guard base near Detroit, protections for the Great Lakes, and the automobile industry. So Gretchen's there with her hat in hand, and she's begging for money. She's asking for a handout from the president. She's asking to curry favor with the president, and yet this old evil, and I have to say it, she is an evil-looking woman. In my humble opinion, I would not want to be alone with her with sharp objects, because she I'm telling you, she just look at her. I'm telling you, all during COVID, I told friends she's evil. This is a woman. There are people that are bad and there are people that are evil. And she had the look of evil. Now, remember, she is the one also who she had Michigan locked down as if they were in a concentration camp. But her husband was out violating all the rules, and he was like sailing on the lake, had the lake to himself, Lake Michigan, I believe. So this is the type of person she is. But she's there at the White House begging for money, asking for accommodations from the White House and the budget. She's asking for all of these things. And yet when the cameras come on outside of the Oval Office, she's hiding. It looked like this. If you haven't seen the photo, she's doing this. She's doing this right here. She's got a folder in front of her face, and she's not letting anyone see that she's there, going to be standing behind the president. Maybe she's also stupid. Oh, there she is, just on the screen. Maybe she's also just dumb. See, she as if, did you not know if you're going to go to the White House and beg for money? Did you not know that you're probably going to do a press conference? Did you not know that you were going to have to go out there and answer some questions? Maybe they tricked her. I don't know. But the fact is, if you're going to be there begging for hand-me-downs or handouts from the U.S. taxpayers, don't be doing the meeting like this. Don't do it. Gretchen Whitmer, she is a leading candidate to be the Democrats' presidential nominee in 2028. So there you have it, Democrats. You got another winner on your hands. Maybe you can get Tampon Tim and Gretchen, and he can provide the tampons, or she can provide the folders, and it's going to be, those are the Democrats that they have out there so far. Yeah, it's not a good look, Dems. Really is not. Sorry, hate to break the news to you. Feel free to nominate someone else, but Gretchen is not the person you want. So you got the El Salvadorian president. You have the happy to be in the White House, Gretchen Whitmer, sad to be in the White House. I keep hearing this story. I woke up this morning with this story, and we know SpaceX, right? That is SpaceX is that's Elon's spaceships, right? And then you have, are these Bezos or is this Branson's? It's Blue Origin. Well, Blue Origin is the one that these rocket ships look like a male part. They look phallic, and whoever created the Blue Origin machinery is they had to have a giggle that they created a rocket ship that's going up into orbit, and it looks, I'll knock my hat off. It goes up into orbit, and it looks like a male part going up in the air, like into orbit. It's very strange that it looks that way. But I woke up this morning, and I'm gathering my things up at the hotel, and kind of finishing up a little bit of work and getting ready for the program. And I have the news on the background, and I keep hearing this comment that an all-female crew is going up in Blue Origin. There's going to be 11-minute up into orbit, experience weightlessness, and come back down. And all morning long, they kept just talking about this all-female crew. Now, of course, the junior high mentality of the humor that I have, I was thinking these three ladies should have made sure that they were on a different kind of rocket ship instead of one that looks like something phallic. But that wasn't the real joke. I started thinking, what's bothering me about this headline? The headline was bothering me is that they kept specifying over and over and over again that it's an all-female crew. So Blue Origin is releasing press releases and statements about this thing. Everybody's commenting on this all-female crew, and I'm thinking, is it that big a deal that all females are going? I thought it was very strange. I'm going to leave it there because I'm going to get in trouble. I mean, if you told me that it was an all-female rush hour, I would probably definitely stay off the road because there's going to be a lot of wrecks there. But I don't think they're controlling the rocket ship, are they? Because I don't know. I just don't know. They emphasized all and over. You don't ever say, do they say things like it's an all-male crew going up? I think there's been all-female crews go before. There's all-female crews on airplanes now, and yet we're still emphasizing this all-female crew going up for 12 minutes on the Blue Origin penis machine. So enjoy that one today. So yeah, look at that rocket ship. Is that Bezos or is that Branson? I don't know whose it is, but they knew what they were doing when they made that rocket ship. There is not a man alive that his 13-year-old self is not laughing at the shape of that rocket ship going like that. Ladies, I'm sorry. I'm just letting you know there's not a man alive who doesn't know exactly what I'm talking about because they're men. All right. Good to have you here on the program. It's a pleasure to have you. Let me tell you, I got a couple of great guests. Joshua Lewis, Lehman Lewis Financial Group is going to be on the show in just a bit. I'm going to talk about the tariffs that last week, the market, the hype, what was the reality? Where do we have a new baseline? Was that a much needed correction? Was it not? There's a lot of topics to get to with Joshua Lewis coming up here in about the bottom of the hour. And also we're going to be talking to Richard Battle, who's written a great book called America by Americans, not Americans. Made in America by Americans, not Americans. So we'll get to that in just a moment as well. Hey, can I give you an early reminder that coming up May 17th, so just over a month away, we are hosting, you see on my hat here, since I'm in a hotel room today, not within the studio, my Rivers Promise hat. That's a charity that I started. We are having our annual casino gala. It's May the 17th, 7 p.m. It's at the Omni Interlaken Hotel. That is in Colorado, right around the Boulder, Denver area. And if you're listening out of state, we'd love to have you come in for it. It's all for fun, all casino games. They'll learn how to play games with no pressure because there's no real money on the table. You can register at riverspromise.org. We have if you like Sinatra and the Rat Pack, we have a singer there that's going to be there that night that's just phenomenal. And live music, it's going to be great. Cash bar, food is provided, casino games. There's also going to be a poker tournament that's going to be there, all for just great fun and a great cause. It's presented by our friends in Colorado, Budget Home Supply. If you're out there doing some spring work at your house in Colorado, northern Colorado, especially the Longmont area, go to Budget Home Supply and give them a little bit of business. They are our title sponsor. And by the way, there's tables available for the casino gala. We'd love for you to get a table. The table, I think, seats 8 people, and bring some friends, bring your office, bring some coworkers, get registered. And I'm warning you now, the price does go up soon. We do that to drive, and that way we start getting proper counts. If you keep the price the same till the bitter end, then our counts get off and we're all screwed up. So prices go up. If you want to save some money, get yourself a table, get yourself an individual. It's a casino gala. Register at riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org. I'll be there. Producer Chad will be there. And by the way, River himself, my son, will be there, who I named the charity after, Rivers Promise. So anyway, check out the story, riverspromise.org. River and I and producer Chad will both be there. So riverspromise.org. All right, let me bring into the conversation. Are you ready for this? I will bring into the conversation Mr. Richard V. Battle. Let me give you his exact, his exact introduction as properly mandated by, just manners. Oh, by the way, I got a question of the day. We have another question of the day, haven't we? Sorry, I'm a little off my game. I'm stuck in a hotel room doing the show today. Richard Battle's been, if you remember my old radio show, he's been with me many times there. And he is the author of this book called Made in America by Americans, not Americans. And we welcome him to the program. I got to find the right button. I'm a little off my game here. My computer's not cooperating. Richard, welcome back to the show, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Jimmy. Thank you so much for having us with you again.
I appreciate you hopping on here. First of all, the name of the book we just talked about is Made in America by Americans, not Americans. I know one of the topics you talk about is the space program. I was just talking about the Blue Origin spacecrafts and the shape of those things, which is the middle school child in me thinks is funny, but it's actually one of those things that show that American, not Americant.
Well, there's two great things that tie in with Made in America by Americans. And I wrote the book because I was sick and tired of the media and politicians telling us what they couldn't do, what we can't do. And I believe that our country was built and was successful because of the American do spirit. And so this is the first volume of several. There's another one already out called Americans Who Made America, 18th century birth of the republic. But you're correct. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, those are two great examples of the American do spirit, which I think we need to celebrate and reinstill in the young people in this country. So this volume is a series of essays and ideas to help people with that American do spirit's leadership, examples of great Americans who came before us to inspire people to pursue their dreams and to be as successful as they can be.
Richard V. Battle, if you're listening later on the podcast version of the show, obviously you're not watching it then, you're listening to it. Richard V. Battle, the name of the book, Made in America by Americans, Not Americans. That's something we've expanded to, so it's not just a live stream. Now on all the platforms, it's a podcast later in the day. Richard, it's, we have this inspirational message that this book tells. You have leaders like Ronald Reagan that could give soaring rhetoric about the city set on a hill and the best days of America and, the Make America Great Again theme. These are all incredibly optimistic, but we are surrounded by negative messages. I was talking about this earlier in the program, that the media we live in wants to make everything not about America and recovery, but everything that's a chaos and there's crisis around Donald Trump. Last week was a great example. The market swung a little bit. They said the sky is falling. This is it. The Trump has finally destroyed America. It's almost hard to focus on vision and optimism when we're being told everything is chaos and everything is just falling apart all the time when it's actually not.
Well, that's exactly correct, and why I'm doing this particular book series, because the media and the politicians discourage us. And the natural tendency for people is to become discouraged with those negative messages. And that's why we need positive messages and examples, so that we will pursue and we will be discomforted in our efforts to succeed and recognize that we'll fail occasionally, but not let that failure be final, but let it be a lesson and a stepping stone to future successes. And so the 4 volumes that follow this, Americans Who Made America, the 18th century birth of the republic's already out, and it's 40 profiles of some Americans and some you wouldn't, but they're all inspirational stories of how they use that attitude to go out and succeed for themselves, but contribute to the country we're blessed to live in today.
It's I'm thinking in modern days, and I don't know, obviously history is told after a president leaves office, but I really think, as much as the media despises Donald Trump, he will be remembered as an inspirational figure, not just for saying he's unleashing the new golden age of America, but the hell he had to walk through, the persecution and literal prosecution. I believe in 50 or so years, Donald Trump will be, whether you like his style or voted for him or not, I believe America will look back away from the hyperbole of the media and go, that was a guy who was filled with Americanism, not Americantism.
Well, I agree. And I'll take it even a step further. If he is successful and overcomes all of these challenges and delivers what he is talking about, I think that the Republicans will control politics for up to the next 100 years, because I look back at Franklin Roosevelt, who did something very similar in a different direction, and how the people loved him and for generations voted Democrat because of Franklin Roosevelt. I think that same thing can happen if Donald Trump is successful.
Now, Trump keeps, we go back to this market, ties into my next guest as well. I think he said people were getting yippy. A little yippy about these tariffs, and some people have criticized the on-again, off-again nature of those. Just give me your analysis of that. On-again, off-again. Was the uncertainty something that was needed? Is it something necessary? Is it something that squelches Americans being able to dream for the future because they don't know where their tariffs are? In a sense, does Donald Trump promote uncertainty, which kind of prohibits you from advancing?
Well, there's a couple of things here. First, I think we need to recognize that the reason that we are as prosperous as we are is since our inception, our political and economic liberty creates the opportunity, and the American spirit has gone out with deliberate discomfort to invent and create things much faster than those around the world. And that's what causes our success. Now, there's discomfort in that, but that's what makes it work. Now, Donald Trump, and I used to do business with the Trump organization, had meetings in Trump Tower. Uh, he is the master negotiator, and unlike other politicians, he's negotiated with his own money at risk previously. Most politicians only negotiate with public money, and there's no consequences to their losses. And so his experience there, I trust more than other politicians. And this time, unlike the 30s, he has the leverage on his side because of our trade deficit, which he's trying to eliminate. So those two factors to me, I believe we need to give him some time and trust in him. Even though we're seeing this in real time, we're seeing some of this negotiation in public in real time, which is unusual for us.
Richard V. Battle is my guest, and again, you need to get his book, and we'll go through that again in just a moment. I've realized that a lot of you are not watching this television or this program live on a streamcast. You're listening it later on in the day on a podcast version. So welcome and glad to have you tuned in, and we'll tell you more about Richard V. Richard V. Battle's book in just a moment. But Richard, I want to come back to that thought you said of transformational presidents. You mentioned Roosevelt, and you said that if Trump is successful, you believe that the Republicans will rule the day for the next 100 years, similar to what the consequence that Roosevelt had. I know you've also said that, let me read the exact quote that I have from you. What we're witnessing isn't just political reform, it's fundamental shift in how the government operates. While Trump's approach makes many uncomfortable, history vindicates leaders who make difficult, unpopular decisions that ultimately benefit the greater good. I feel like we're drinking from a fire hydrant sometimes with Donald Trump. He's making the news, and it's exactly what I voted for. What do you see are maybe the top one or two things that if he's successful in these one or two areas, then it's a transformational presidency? I mean, he's doing a lot of stuff. Which ones are the top ones?
Well, I think the Make America Great and the Americanism first is it, because the last 3 or 4 decades, we've seen progress toward a global government. We've seen all of these global institutions that we've subverted our sovereignty to. I think we're reinstituting the American dominance and the America First situation, which is number one. And the second one is the individual liberty that our forefathers gave us was subverted to collectivism, to groupism, if you will. And so getting rid of all this groupthink and letting individuals prosper and succeed and chase their dreams and let people know we can be anything we want to be if we go out and try, and we are not restricted if we're not part of the wrong group.
I was just, what you said triggered something on my show sheet that I remember. The White House press office is now refusing, and privately, they're just not calling on reporters that identify themselves with certain pronouns. So, like, no, sorry, we can't take you seriously. And I think that's just another good way to say, let's get back to some basics here. And if you're going to play pronoun games and you want to be zer, they, them, I'm sorry, I can't take you seriously. Those are the kind of battles he's fighting. I think they're very important.
Well, yes, exactly. And I think for the next generations coming, hopefully they will appreciate this restoration, if you will, to that individual liberty and the encouragement for them to go out, because we inherited this freedom. In our lifetime, it's been again subverted or given up for this collectivism. And it's up to us before our lives are over to try to help support this reinstitution so that there's liberty for generations to come after our lifetime. That's our obligation while we're still here.
All right, you're getting a moment to be the inspirer yourself. There's some of us, I'm not in Colorado right now, I'm broadcasting from the St. Louis area, but I live in Colorado. A lot of my old radio base is in Colorado, and there's people in California, Colorado, Michigan. We're controlled by these jackwagon governors, And for instance, the governor of Colorado just actually signing a bill. It passed through the legislature. I guess he's going to sign it. That will basically, you can be reported for child abuse if you misgender your child. They take your kid away. If the teachers say they're a they, them, and you say, no, that's a he, he's a boy with twig and berries. Sorry, that's child abuse. That's misgendering. That's using what they call a dead name. Some people are living in this. The reforms of the Trump administration that we're talking about aren't permeating to all of the states. What do you say to everybody that lives in places run by idiots?
Well, I agree with you. And to me, and I've been in that situation before, and none of us can do everything that needs to be done to make the changes we would like to see done. But we can all do one thing. And we have a responsibility of citizens not to be just occupants. And so if we want to see change, we need to involve ourselves, and we need to pick one thing that's important to us, whether it's this involvement in the city, the school board, the county, whatever it is. But one thing that you do in that one area will help and make a difference. And we need to get more citizens involved and overcome that discouragement that we can't do anything to make changes because we can't. Those particular states are not 90-10 liberal to conservative. They're much closer to 60-40 or 55-45. And so it won't take much change. And as those states see the success in the states that follow the success of Donald Trump, I think there'll be more pressure on them to swing around as well. And so it will take time and participation from we, the citizens.
The voice of Richard V. Battle. Again, if you're listening all day long, and that's just the streamcast now live, we're also podcasting around the world on all the platforms, iHeartMedia, Spotify. You can catch us on all of them. Richard V. Battle, author of Made in America by Americans, Not Americans. Richard, if somebody wants to follow you and or get the book, give us all the ways to do that.
Well, at X, we're at Richard V. Battle. Website is richardbattle.com. If you order a book there, all books are signed. If you want inscriptions for gift, email me, richard@richardbattle.com afterwards. Amazon has all 11 books, including audio and Kindle versions as well.
Richard V. Battle, it's a pleasure, sir. Thanks for hopping on today. Congrats on the book. Again, it's called Made in America by Americans, Not Americans. And again, author Richard V. Battle on In the House of Lakey as Lakey is Unleashed. If you're wondering what the beautiful artwork is behind me, that's called hotel art. It's our hotel art tour in which the last several weeks I've been broadcasting from many, many hotel rooms. And this is a hotel room. Lovely piece of art there. I don't think it's a Picasso. It's not a Rembrandt, but it's lovely. You're welcome. It's made by Marriott. His famous artist, Bill. He signed it. Anyway, good to have all of you here on the show. Don't forget, I want to remind you again, price goes up soon. You want to register for May 17th. It's our casino night. Sponsored by Budget Home Supply in Longmont, Colorado, Casino Gala. It's at the Omni Interlaken Resort and Hotel. That is in Broomfield, Colorado, right there just outside of Boulder and just outside of Denver, right on the U.S. Highway 36. If you want to come in from out of state, you're one of our out-of-state people listening on the podcast in the afternoon or watch the streamcast in the morning, come on in. There's tickets are available. The price goes up. It's coming up. It's just over 1 month away, and we'd love to have you there. There's going to be some Sinatra. Literally, if you've not seen his name is Derek Evilsizer. If you've not seen him perform, you missed a real treat. And he's about as Sinatra can get. He'll be live for a couple of hours that night. Cash bars there. Food is included. Casino games, all for fun. So if you've gone to Vegas and you say, I want to play craps, but I'm too intimidated to go to the table, there'll be a craps table, and they will actually teach you while you play and have fun. It's all about fun. It's all about raising money for charity. It all goes to our charity. Our goal that night is to raise $50,000. So I'm throwing that out there. So if you show up, if you can bring 50 cents, bring 50 cents. I'm not talking about the rapper. If you can bring 50 cents, bring 50 cents. If you bring $500, donate. There's a silent auction. It's going to be a fun night, but it's all fun for fundraising. And tickets are available. riverspromise.org, May 17th, 7 p.m. And if you do come in from out of town or just want to make a little staycation of it, once you register, you'll get a link and you can book hotel rooms there for several days before and after, and have a great rate, wonderful rate. Not lying. All right, Budget Home Supply. Thank you for that as well. All right, let me bring you to the program running 5 minutes behind schedule, as is I'm going to be yelled at and flogged again by producer Chad, but sometimes I enjoy that on a Monday. Ladies and gentlemen, Joshua Lewis of the Lehman Lewis Financial Group. On the camera, he is. I have hotel artwork. You've got artwork behind you. You have office art.
Little office artwork there. I don't know who took that photo either, but I like it. So
I think mine is, I want to say is a Rembrandt, but it's more like a Marriott. So I can't help it. It's what I get today.
It's abstract. That's one of those where you look at it and you're like, does it go horizontal or should we put it vertical? And then you get to decide, choose your own adventure.
I may change that next time I'm here. Just change it up every day. Joshua Lewis, Lehman Lewis Financial Group. I'm sure watching the markets like you do, kind of walk us through your mind. These tariffs happened early in the administration. They didn't happen, and they happened again. It's kind of been on again, off again, and then finally the tariffs hit. We had Liberation Day, and the markets. Give me just your brain. What was going on in your brain? What were you watching for, knowing on tariffs, off tariffs, on tariffs, off tariffs, on tariffs, and here goes the market spiraling down?
Yeah, your neck gets a little bit tired just from the ups and the downs, and looking over a lot of charts. The dopamine rush was real for sure. So you get kind of a mixed bag, and it's sort of like your previous guest said, as well as it was that on again, off again, and really the market's always looking for direction. Essentially, they want to know if it's good news or if it's bad news, right? And the market's going to react accordingly. And I think the bigger underlying issue that we had is the market didn't know which way to go, and we really are kind of seeing some of this tariff stuff roll out in real time, not through your sort of traditional measures that we would normally see in a, kind of more of what a traditional president would do, I suppose. So seeing some of this stuff come out through a little bit of your non-normal functions like a Twitter or a True Social or things like that, you're getting a lot of kind of legislative updates with that, and the market reacts pretty darn quick. So it was kind of dizzying just to watch that activity over such a short period of time, and then really trying to react to what we thought was going to happen, knowing that, hey, this could all blow up when we get, a 2 a.m. tweet saying, hey, we're going to go the other direction. So when you wake up in the morning, it's sort of like another, fun surprise.
So ultimately, obviously, we have a 90-day reprieve on these tariffs, and everything's going to hold off for 90 days. Looking back at the last week, who were the winners? Who were the losers? If someone was in the market on a 401k, who ended up losing? Some people maybe became big winners. They bought low.
Yeah, that definitely could be. I think all the folks who had those big knee-jerk reactions, right, who thought, the world is going to end, I should sell out of all my equities now. And I think typically anytime you get those big emotional reactions, you're almost always going to incur a significant loss, especially when we're seeing big swings like that. So anybody who pulled out of the market prematurely, anybody who was maybe a little over their skis in certain sectors of the market, primarily tech has suffered the most. But when we saw some of those rebounds, they're really kind of depending on how you were allocated. There were some, that big up move we had on, I guess, Wednesday of last week. Obviously, if you were maintaining some of your positions, you definitely made some headway back on the recovery there. So I think a lot of, winners and losers are still going to be sort of shaken out. But I think people with a lot of exposure to China, primarily consumer discretionary companies like your Restoration Hardwares of the world, manufacture a lot of stuff in China, Vietnam. Their stock's been down significantly. So your Wayfarers and so forth. So a lot of those folks with bigger exposure to China, Southeast Asia, I think have seen a significant decline, double digits. So that is likely to continue for some time. Tech, I think, is still going to whipsaw to a certain degree.
Let me ask you, obviously 90 days is the reprieve, and so we have 90 days to prepare. People in their portfolios and their investments, businesses, everybody's got 90 days. I can't imagine that all 75 of these countries are going to strike a deal in the next 90 days. So there's a potential in 90 days, another wave of tariffs come back on. Are there things that the market or investors or people in retirement accounts should be doing knowing that the whiplash is coming, or just weather the next storm? It's all going to settle out.
Well, I think this is an excellent time to look at your allocations. People don't really address risk until it's maybe a little bit too late. Sort of like the idea of trying to get homeowners insurance when your kitchen is on fire, right? You kind of miss the bus on that. So I think now as we're seeing a little bit, even today, the markets are up a bit on the reprieve there in some of the tech and semiconductor space. So definitely taking advantage of maybe some of those upward movements to look at, hey, maybe I want to part ways with some of these companies in my portfolio. Maybe I want to, reallocate a little bit there to something more conservative, and definitely sit down and kind of have a meaningful conversation around risk within your portfolio. But like we always tell all the families that we have the privilege to work with, is having that retirement plan, having a lot of different asset classes that are not correlated with just markets, and really a lot of the space that we're going to see some of that continued volatility.
I saw some people posting on social media, one lady in particular, I don't think she was a Trump fan. I gathered it, but she says, I'm wiped out. My 401k has been devastated. I'll never recover from this. It was all about 2 days in the market. First of all, is that even possible? And second of all, isn't that a sign that she really had her misallocations in her 401k if that really did that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, these things come and go, right? When you look at kind of historically market corrections, bear markets, things like that, it's a pretty regular occurrence. I think the difference with this is it happened so quickly, and it felt a little more violent, so to speak. So yeah, if your 401k got completely wiped out, I will never financially recover from this scenario. Yeah, you had some very poor allocations, or you were definitely taking on way more risks than what you could financially handle. And I think that kind of flushes some people out of the markets. But you look at kind of this longer term sort of bull market we've seen primarily in the tech space. I think a lot of people get short term memories and they forget, gosh, we take the stairs up as investors, but we take the elevator down as investors. So, you got to make sure that you're allocating properly so that you're not dropping all the way to the basement there.
It's it's fun times. Obviously, you have helped people. Did you have clients calling throughout the last week where they just burning your phone up? Josh, where we at? Josh, where we at? Or are they pretty confident?
To a certain degree, we had a few calls. The week prior, when we saw some of the tariffs roll out, I like to always put together a video, shoot that off to the clients, and just say, hey, things are going to get bumpy here. We don't want to make knee-jerk reactions. Again, we're big on that planning aspect with all of our families. So they know they're not, all their eggs are not in one basket. Lots of eggs, lots of baskets. So as those markets ebb and flow, we're definitely looking for opportunities first and foremost. But again, I think a lot of people forget about, hey, if you're protecting your downside, the upside's going to take care of itself. And too often, I think people really are pressing that upside scenario and they forget all about that downside. So a lot of our families, I think, were relatively well prepared for what came.
You used the phrase correction. Was this ultimately just a much needed correction of the market anyway? It just came about quicker and more violent, as you said, than normal. Was this something that was needed?
I really think we had kind of a very secular bull market. And by that, I mean, you look at kind of what they refer to as the Magnificent Seven stock. So 7 companies, all in the tech space, accounted for, 80+% of the gains over the last couple of years. So as you start seeing just a handful of companies out of 500, say on the S&P, that becomes really kind of the exact recipe that creates those market bubbles. And then when you start to see those falter, because of the weighting on the index, it brings everything down with it. So really, as much as it hurts and nobody likes to lose money, corrections ultimately lead to a higher path. They redistribute assets into other sectors of the market. And they really, again, over a period of time, we've always seen the market rebound and rise, and we're all better for it.
If you were the advisor in the Oval Office with the ear of President Trump and Secretary of Treasury, knowing that 90 days there could be a little bit more chaos that breaks out, what would be the advice you would lend to the Treasury Secretary and President Trump if you were holding court with them in the Oval Office?
I think, a lot of it's in the messaging, right? I think obviously we all know Trump love him, hate him, it doesn't really matter to me, but his messaging can be a little bit brash. And I think that's where people sort of have those reactions. I think certainly markets are going to react. We're all going to react to a certain extent, but definitely how we roll out some of that information. I know there's some tactics just in coming out, being blunt. It's quick, it's aggressive, kind of, you get your opponent, so to speak, on their toes. They're going to be reactionary. So I think a lot of it was more sort of positioned as negotiation tactics. But I don't think your average sort of consumer investor in the US really saw it that way. They thought, gosh, why the heck is this guy trying to blow up the whole economy? And I really don't think that's his intent at all, right? He's making some moves, but he does it in a way that is very business centric and not, in your sort of traditional presidential fashion. And I think that's why we've seen such a, negative reaction in the market. Because ultimately, all of these things are going to be good for the economy, but it's going to take a little bit of time for all that to get fleshed out.
The voice of Joshua Lewis, you can find him more at laymanlewis.com, laymanlewis.com. Joshua Lewis, thank you very much for hopping in here today. I appreciate you, my friend, as always. laymanlewis.com is your website. Check it out if you want someone to help you with your portfolios and be a good fiduciary on your behalf, getting ready for retirement, laymanlewis.com. Everybody stand by. We're going to take a commercial break, and then we'll be right back. It's Lakey Unleashed in a fine art museum. Can you tell? I'll be back. Stick around. There is more to come.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Hey guys, today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Give kisses. Give kisses. Look. Give kisses. Give kisses. You heard how loud that was.
I know, I heard.
That?
I heard. It wasn't you. Yeah. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Bacon.
1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning is on call 24/7, even on weekends and holidays. We pride ourselves in our on-time guarantees. In addition to installation and repairs, we offer maintenance services. So no matter when you need us, you can always count on 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning to keep your system running. Check out our family of brands for all of your service needs, including electrical and plumbing.
Our heating and air conditioning.
All right, here we are, back in a glorious hotel room, flying back today to Colorado for a few days, and later in the week I'll be back in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So Jimmy is on the move, but here we are together again. Final few moments of the program. I put this up. I didn't even tell producer Chad about this. This is not really part of our meme roulette, but this weekend, look at this. Ricky Schroeder turns 55. If that makes you feel old, you are old, because it makes me feel old. Anybody remember the name of the Silver Spoons? Remember Silver Spoons? One of my son's football coaches called my son Ricky Schroeder because my son probably like Ricky Schroeder, and he never knew who we were talking about. Yeah, happy birthday, Ricky Schroeder, 55 years of age today, and 55. Yeah, and here's another one. We're going to do meme roulette in a second. These are just ones I put up for the hell of it because I had them on my phone, and I wanted to put them up here. I'll just put this up here. This is that lady. I want you to notice the coexist sticker. We've been talking about that coexist sticker for a long time. Has anyone redone it? Because if you look at that coexist sticker that these backpack crazy, hateful libtards are using on their cars, but they don't really coexist with anyone. They put up there, they have a cross, they want to coexist with you. The Jewish star, they don't want to do that either. They'll burn you down and hope you get captured in Gaza. Yeah, the coexist crowd, they don't exist anymore, right? But here's what happens. That coexist, notice the E has the gender symbols. There's only two genders. Bunch of bigots, sexists, have those coexist stickers. Next time you see someone with that coexist sticker, you need to remind them how bigoted and hateful they are. Yes, they're anti-Semites, and yes, they really do hate Christians, but they also only identify two genders on the sticker. So shame, shame, shame on you liberals out there that have that coexist sticker for misgendering so many and being so narrow to say they can only have a cisgender. It's just wrong. You're just wrong, and you are very, very hateful. All right, let's go back to the news here. I threw those out of kind of that's a curveball. I've got a question of the day. There's a study out here. This is we'll do this in the final moments of the show. But scream at the radio if you want. There's a story out there that is about using text messages. I have a love-hate relationship with text. I oftentimes don't respond. My phone beeps so many times, and then I get notifications, and I try to turn those off. But your phone vibrates so much. My phone is actually the machine that cries wolf all the time. It's always vibrating. There's nothing ever happening, so I just don't check it. And so very rare, it's not unusual for me to get a text and not know it or ignore it, and my phone just vibrates all the time, so I get tired of checking it. And then you have to go turn off notifications, and it just vibrates all the time. It's the boy that cried wolf. So but texting, I have a love-hate relationship with it. I hate it when I begin a conversation, especially scheduling a guest for the show, on an email, and then they switch it to text messaging from the publicist side of it. I can't stand that. I want all of my communication in one form. That way, I always have the history of what we're doing, not going between forums or, was it on Messenger? Was it on email? Was it on text messaging? I don't want that. I just want it all in one place if I'm communicating with you on a certain topic. Well, let me just give you the whole story and then you decide. This is our question of the day. Let's be honest, it's not an era of peak language use. Everyone's constantly looking for ways to write and speak less. They don't want to talk on the phone. We want to just type little blurbs with each other, and the messages get shorter. And so there's a move out there that people abbreviate their text messages. And so 60%, 90% say of 18 to 65-year-olds, 90% say they use regular abbreviations in their daily messaging. And 84% of Americans say those are good things and have a positive effect when they are received. But according to a new study, if you make your text messages too short, it makes the texter on the other side feel as if you're being rude or brushing them off. For instance, if you were going to say please, if you type PLZ, people oftentimes say that's kind of rude, just spell the damn word out. If you want to say apologize and say sorry, and you type SRY, people say that they feel that might be a little bit disingenuous. Just say I don't know instead of IDK. So let me ask you, this is the question of the day. Are there any type of habits on the text machines that annoy the heck out of you? Is there someone, question of the day, person not in your contact list testing you for the first time and not identifying themselves? Yes, that is an annoying part of of it as well. It's very annoying. If you're going to text, you better say who you are, especially if we haven't talked before. And don't text me without permission, unless you say, hey, this is Jimmy. I just met you at the dinner, and I just wanted to say hello. Here's my contact information. Let's stay in touch. Okay, I'm fine with that. Anyway, I just want to hear your thoughts on annoying textual behaviors. Rich says, my kids thought I was yelling at them through my text because I used a period at the end of a sentence. Isn't that interesting? All caps would be a big one as well. You can't do all caps. Stop yelling. I'm not yelling. What annoys you most about texting? That's one of my problems with texting is the lack of punctuation. I like to use sentences. I'm still one of the guys, when I use the typewriter or the keyboard, I should say, I still put two periods after the, two spaces after the period. Supposedly you don't have to do that. That was from the days of the typewriter, and everybody tries to correct me. I'm like, listen, I learned to type with double space, and I'm going to keep double spacing as long as I can feel like double spacing. And I probably even double space on text. I don't know. So anyway, there's your question of the day. What annoys you most about texting? Long text as well. Texting to me should be something that is just kind of a quick exchange of ideas. Hey, I'm going here. I'll meet you there. Okay, thanks. Hey, quick question. What was the recipe for this? Things like that. I hate it when it becomes a long, prolific conversation in which, guys, let's just get on the phone and solve this issue rather than sitting here typing like teenage girls doing Instagram right now. Let's just get on the phone and solve the issue. That's one thing I hate. Another thing that I hate, I'm just going to vent because I feel like I can. You know what annoys me? Group text. Group text. Don't do them. Very rare should you ever do a group text, especially with people you know that don't know each other. Around the holidays, it's gotten better because I think I've kvetched about it. I had several group texts that would pop up, and it would be happy birthday, happy Easter, happy Christmas Eve, and group text would everyone, and I knew like 7 people on the group text. It's like they went through their contact list and wished everybody a blanket holiday. And then all day long, you can't escape the group text. You can't unsubscribe. At least you used to not be able to. Maybe you can now. But I can't stand it. Yeah, Jim says group text where participants start commenting on stuff and shared 100 replies ago. Stop it. Don't ever put me on a group text that's going to go on like that. I got a group text and a group of friends. Producer Chad's been on some of these. That, you know, 5 or 6 guys. Hey, I'm going to go over here and do this and have a cigar, or I'm going to go over here and have a drink. Who wants to meet me for a drink? And instead of just, I'll see you there, or maybe a private text, it becomes, well, I've got to work on my my sock drawer, and you have to. It's like, stop! I don't want to hear all this. It's yes or no, or have a private conversation. Group text, don't do it, please. I'm asking you. If you do it, make sure it's focused, it's quick, it's precise. And if you are responding in a group text, you don't need to thank everyone. Oh, thank you. Stop it. Just knock it off. Group texts are really of the devil. Satan uses group text as a tactic to destroy your soul, and you should not do them. Use them very limited. I feel so much better right now that I got that off my chest. I feel all right. The question of the day is again, what are the things that annoy you most about the texting culture that we live in? And surveys say that while most people use abbreviations while they text, a lot of folks say that they are offended and bothered by the use of abbreviations while they text. All right, I did mention this story earlier, and it's the White House ignoring reporters with pronouns. And I've done this too. I've deleted emails from someone I didn't really know, and I thought maybe I should respond to this, but I don't because they have their pronouns listed. This is a true story. We'll go to the meme roulette here in just a second. You ready for this? The White House has a habit of dismissing reporters who use pronouns in their email signatures. It's stirring a controversy. The New York Times is putting a spotlight on the White House press office for refusing to respond to emailed questions from reporters who display their pronouns, saying they deny biological reality and they can't be trusted to report with integrity. Amen. Other media relations figures at the government agencies give similar response to those who display their pronouns. The decision for individuals to list them, for example, as he, him for a man, or they, them for someone who's transgender or doesn't identify as a man or female, is often criticized as unnecessary virtue signaling, and the White House is not going to respond to those emails. And you know what? I'm thankful. And I think the more that we shame these people because of their mental illness or because of their virtue signaling, I think it's actually the better. So good for the White House for ignoring reporters who use pronouns, because even, first of all, if you're a man and you think you need to tell someone that you're a he and a him, then you may not be the man you think you are. And if you're a woman and you think you have to put she and her, stop it. Knock it off. It's virtue signaling. It's idiotic, and good for the White House for ignoring those reporters. And I think more of us should, in the professional world, just ignore people. I mean this very sincerely. I'm sorry. I'm going to have a tough time doing business with you because you obviously are mentally deranged and you're mentally sick and you have your pronouns there. And I just can't trust you because you blatantly we're not going to be a good fit. And I think the more that happens, the better, and good for the White House for standing strong and doing it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will be back in the Colorado studio tomorrow. I want to remind you also that whether I'm on the road or whether I'm at home, Sherry Cree is a great friend of the program. And this is who I would recommend you calling if you're contemplating. Maybe you're trying to move out of the state of Colorado and move into a place like Missouri, where I'm at, so you can have great artwork like that on the room. Maybe you want to sell your home in Colorado. Maybe you're watching in Missouri and you want to get to the glorious state of Colorado. Homeswithsherry.com. You need to make that phone call with her. Her goal is not just to sell your house or help find you the house. Her goal is beyond that. Her goal is to become your realtor for life. And so there's going to be certain things she's going to do along the way, and you're going to know this and say, wow, we can trust her. She's going to give you advice and input. She's going to give you direction and steering, and she's going to really just kind of let you see a bigger picture, because she knows that more than likely this is not your only real estate transaction. She wants to walk through real estate world with you and become your realtor for life. She believes you play it right, and she's absolutely correct. I'll get Sherry on here the next few days and have her back on, but you can turn a real estate transaction that you think you're just getting an extra bedroom, you can turn that into a few years from now, it becomes generational wealth. I told this story, I think is the most fascinating story. She sat down with someone a couple of years ago and she didn't hear from him again. She thought maybe they went with someone else to sell the home, because not everyone's going to be a match. And a couple of years later, she heard from them. And she says, where have you been? They said, we took your advice. You said probably not a good move. So we held off, and now we're going to use you. 2 or 3 years later, listen, have that conversation with Sherry Cree, homeswithsherry.com. Talk about where you want to go, where you're at. Maybe you're buying, maybe you're selling, maybe you need more space, less space, maybe you need a ranch, maybe you need a basement, maybe you need a swimming pool for the grandkids or the kids, whatever it is, maybe. homeswithsherry.com. This is in Colorado, of course, and that's all the way up and down that I-25 corridor around the Denver area, Fort Collins area, Greeley. She's got you there as well. If you're down in Trenday, Araqua world of Aurora, and you want to get to a better part of Aurora, maybe you want to move to Parker, she can help you there. If you want to get to Broomfield, Boulder, you get the idea. The I-25 corridor, Wellington, Windsor, homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com. Make sure you tell her that you watch the Jimmy Lakey Unleashed program, homeswithsherry.com. And again, maybe it's just a conversation, consultation. Maybe you're just kind of getting the feel of the market right now. April's a great time to start thinking about it. And, she'll tell you about the peak times of the summer and when the showings go up and when the showings go down. She can help you with all the staging, getting your home ready. She can just be a good she'll be a good advice giver. And then you figure out if there's a relationship there, kind of an interview conversation. homeswithsherry.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to play meme roulette. Usually I pick up a cheesy globe and spin it around and say, round and round the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows, but I don't have that. So let's play meme roulette without the meme ball. So let's go. Producer chat, hit the memes. We're ready. Here we go. This is how much is the rent for this gorgeous apartment? Sir, this is a liquor store. How much is the rent here? I love this apartment. It's a fully stocked bar. I like that one. That sounds like somewhere producer and Chad might have and I might try to pay the rent. All right, here's another meme on the meme roulette machine. I got a hotel room, and I'm not arguing with no one born after 2000. Y'all can't even write in cursive. I would say that, but I don't know if I can write in cursive anymore. I mean, I can, but I got to think about it. But that's true. I'm not arguing with anyone born after 2000. All right, let's do another meme. I wish round and round the world we go. Where we stole the memes from, no one knows. In 1920, we took children out of coal mines. In 2020, the most popular video game on the market is Minecraft. The children yearn for the mines. I love the photo there. It's got a pipe in his mouth. The kids like mines. There's no doubt about it. The kids like mines. We ought to send them back to the mines, help the economy. I'm joking. Round and around the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Life's been tough since Toy Story 4. I wonder if the guy dressed himself. Guys, if you're missing here on the podcast, I'm sorry. Go back and watch the video cast. The video's up at Rumble and all the feeds that we watch it live. You can go back and this is the guy that dressed in the subway. He looks like a Toy Story. Round and around the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Do we have another meme? Here's Donald Trump saying, I'm raising tariffs on China until Z blinks and can't tell if he blinked. Go up another 10%. Then Z, I'm sorry, this is awful. No, I blink. No, Trump, look in my eye. I blink. I'm not blinking. I'm sorry. Look at your screen and tell me that's not funny. If you can't laugh at that, let's go through it again. I'm raising tariffs on China until Z blinks. Well, I can't tell if he blinked. Go up another 10%. No, blink. No, I blink. No, look. No, blink. Trump, I'm not blinking. Sorry. That's awful. I'm sorry. Producer Chad, I apologize on his behalf for putting that up there. He should have filtered us. That's the funniest thing I've ever seen. Round and round, I don't know if we can top that one. Round and around the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Since Snow White crashed and burned at the box office, Disney has decided to not release their remake of An Officer and a Gentleman. I'm sorry. If you're just listening to the podcast version, God bless you. It's some of the cross-dressing trans that Joe Biden had in his White House, and they're the mock-up for the Officer and a Gentleman movie. It's funny. Promise you it's funny, but sorry you're not seeing it if you're just listening to the podcast. I think that's about it, but around the world we go. Do we have any more memes from Steele from where we don't know? I think that wraps it up, my friends. You see Rivers Promise. We want to remind you of the casino night. I'm advertising the walking billboard. Rivers Promise is on my hat. It's on my shirt. It's in my heart, and I hope it's in your shirt as well. Your shirt as well. I hope it's in your heart as well. Make sure. My watch is crooked. I would say I'm losing weight, but that's not true. I got to work on that. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been here. I've been 5 days, 4 days. I don't know how long. Go to riverspromise.org. Make a donation. I appreciate you all tuning in. We'll be back in the Colorado studio for a couple of days and back in the Texas studio, hotel room / studio in a couple of days after that. But listen, I want you to donate, riverspromise.org. Love to have you a casino night. It's going to be, oh, yeah, I saw that. You want to purge your eyes out for that Officer and Gentleman one. Yeah, we should have, we should rate things not with stars, but how many cups of coffee spew through your nose on some of these things. That was a heavy spew. You don't like that much spew. It's not good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, riverspromise.org, riverspromise.com. I had a conversation this weekend, actually yesterday, with my director in Rwanda, and we're short on our food funds over there, and the kids are off school this week, which helps us a little bit. But if you can help us, $30 feeds a kid for 2 meals a day for 30 days. $65 sends them to school and feeds them 2 meals a day. So any help you can give, if it's a 1 month, if it's just a consistent month, if you want to sponsor an individual kid, or if you want to just make a general donation, that's where that money goes for. It's riverspromise.org, 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 and be sure to sign up and, again, do what you can, and it all goes to the kids, and I appreciate it. And don't forget our charity casino night, riverspromise.org. Register for that. It's May the 17th, just over a month away. Until we meet again tomorrow, again, good Lord willing, the creek still rise. I will be back in the Colorado studio, back in the normal setting for 2 more days, and back on the road again. A lot of traveling, but hey, that's the benefit of doing this show. Hey, thanks to all of the people who make it possible. Producer Chad's doing all the great things that he does. And, I got audio in all sorts of places in my ears. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. Thanks to Sherry Cree. Thanks to Corey Clinton. Josh Lewis, thanks for coming on the program. Richard V. Battle. Also, don't forget LaymanLewis.com. Until we meet again tomorrow morning, may God bless you. May God bless America. I am Jimmy Lakey. Peace. I'm out of here.